Hello everyone, I'm going to just cut straight into the topic for today. I'll be going over how the Ukrainian war against Russia will likely end in the coming months. With American opinions swinging against war and a president with peace in mind, it is likely that this conflict will have reached its resolution before the end of this year. However, to understand how this war will end and how the outcomes will shape future European/American politics, we must first do a brief summarization of events leading up to and during this conflict. To begin, we look at the year 1991, when Ukraine signed a deal with the superpowers of the world, the contents of which are as follows.
When the Soviet Union fell in the early 1990s, Ukraine was left with the world's third largest stockpile of tactical nuclear weapons and strategic nuclear weapons on the planet. But they signed this agreement with the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia that basically said, if you give up your nuclear weapons, we, these three countries that signed to this, will provide for your defense and assure you of your defense. And so Ukraine did that. They gave up these weapons.
After securing the deal, we fast forward to 2014, with Russia effectively annexing the region of Crimea. And lays the groundwork for beliefs as to why Russia cannot maintain a peace. Following this, we return to the year 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine proper, and both the EU, along with the United States, provided billions of dollars to supporting the fight against this unjust war. But stats on the screen, the US put forward $136 billion in military aid to Ukraine. The EU put forward $145 billion toward Ukraine, with about a third of that acting as concessional loans. To put that into perspective, the US is practically funding over half of the war effort against Russia. However, not all Americans are happy with their taxpayer dollars going into this meat grinder. As Donald Trump has campaigned during his 2024 election, he wants to end the war day one in both Ukraine and Israel. He's now begun to enact these policies, halting all funding to Ukraine and securing a ceasefire with Hamas. If you look at these posts on Twitter, it's pretty obvious that America is just not willing to fund the war anymore. As you can see, this is what I voted for, and it's just a screenshot of aid to Ukraine under Biden and under Trump, and with over 11 million views and almost 100k likes. It's pretty popular. And then there's this post saying that, funding aid to Gaza is just not mandatory from Israel, and that it's just funneling nothing, and that has 20k likes. To put this all in a summary, the American people don't want their taxpayer dollars funding this war. And with the EU now stepping up its funding, it's pretty obvious that Russia still has some more fighting to do. Now that we've got this in mind, here's how the rest of this war is probably going to play out. The EU is going to continue supporting Ukraine with both military funding and humanitarian aid, while maintaining previous sanctions. In the meantime, Russia will continue its non-stop attacks against the much smaller nation. It's likely that the war-torn nation, despite EU backing, will sue for peace within the next year. It's pretty obvious that with Trump trying to incite peace, it's pretty clear that for this peace to come to pass, Ukraine will likely have to give massive compromises to Russia, probably going to have to give over whatever Russia has control of now, along with having to pay concessions to the nation. It'll be a costly peace, one that Russia will continue to spend a long time recovering from. Keep in mind, they lost over hundreds of thousands of lives in this conflict, and they sink millions upon millions of dollars into fighting this war. Despite this, Russia's presence in politics will persist, and the sanctions will likely be lifted shortly after this war ends, as the supply of natural gas is simply too valuable to be left alone for too long. Overall, war is just expensive, and peace is going to be secured eventually. They're not going to be at war forever, and it's clear that the EU and America doesn't want to fund a perpetual stalemate for decades. Overall, war is expensive, and peace must be secured between the two nations, even if temporary, to stop the dying. Regardless, there will be resolution, and with it's going to be compromises, and these compromises are likely not going to be in Ukraine's favor. Despite the efforts from America and the EU, they've managed to turn a quick and swiftly defeat into a long and costly stalemate. If you have any opinions you'd like to share, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to support my endeavors, and have an amazing life. See ya.